you've mentioned dividends a couple of times, and I had attempted to sort of raise the issue with Carl Hagberg, and I think he sort of vaguely misunderstood what I was trying to ask. Essentially, there's been a lot of talk thrown around about some sort of NFT-based dividend, which is essentially like it's a non-fungible token, so it's a non-replicable thing. So you can't just go out and buy more of it. You can't just like have more money to give out if there's more shares in circulation than there should be. So there's been suggestions that GameStop could use this as a way to kind of highlight the fact that there was more shares in circulation than there should be. Have you seen that suggested in more serious circles, or do you consider that to be an idea that's plausible?
It's been suggested from back in 03, 04, 05, 06, Overstock. Everybody talked about it. Isn't there a way, can I issue a dividend that, doesn't get to, it only gets to the people who have real shares and it can't go to the people who have fake shares. But once you give it to the depository, right? So let's say GameStop decides they want to do this NFT. Mm-hmm. So the biggest shareholder is Seeding & Co. So Seeding & Co. gets all the NFTs. Yeah. And then Seeding & Co. Pays those out, assigns those in accounts, because I'm assuming this is electronic. This isn't a physical thing, because it's also been tried with physical things like, silver coins or something. Like, what if there was some real tangible thing that couldn't be duplicated?
Yeah. So it's not like the NFT is the first thing that's ever existed.
Exactly, and the whole idea of blockchain. So you said, what's the point of the NFT? The NFT is something that can't be duplicated. When the company issues 50 million or whatever it is, 67 million shares of common stock for their company, they have to tell the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Corporations in their state how many shares that is, what's their capital structure. They have to tell the SEC that they're selling so many shares, right? So lots and lots of people know exactly how many shares are supposed to be there, and yet how many shares are in circulation. 140% of the outstanding shares is owned by institutions. Yeah. So I just don't see, so the NFT, so it all goes to Seeding & Co. and Seeding & Co. gives it to Merrill and blah, blah, blah. And then Merrill is just going to credit all of your different accounts with it, right? That's what they did with the shares. They just credited your account with the shares. So in the U.S., we have something called a Uniform Commercial Code. You have 50 different states, and every state had their own set of rules for doing business, right? If you start a business, you have to have a license. You have to have a sort of insurance program, like whatever training and education you have to be something, haircut, barber. So I don't know, probably started in the 60s, maybe even before that, all the states started working together to get a uniform commercial code. So there are certain rules that are the same in every state. Right, so you don't really have to try to, my friends in France would carry. He was a business person, and he would carry like 6 currencies in his wallet because he was doing business in 6 different countries. Now, of course, he has the euro. So they try to get this uniform commercial code going, and they did very well. And one of the things that they did when they set up the depository, the Central Clearing and Settlement, was to create what they called an entitlement. So the Uniform Commercial Code allows Merrill Lynch to credit your account with an entitlement to shares of GameStop, whether or not they actually have shares of GameStop to give you. What's going to stop Merrill Lynch? I like to pick on them. I don't know why, but I would pick on them. Merrill Lynch or Goldman Sachs. What's going to stop them from...
They've never done anything bad to deserve that.
Right. Well, I know. So why would they... What would stop them from crediting your account with the NFT? They already credited your account with shares that don't exist, right? So they're just going to give you an entitlement to an NFT, not an actual NFT. Right? So my view is the company has more control over this than they think they do. The proof of that is in companies like Barker, who figured out how to tell who failed to deliver and who didn't. Unfortunately, the Canadian securities regulators weren't interested in pursuing it. Here in the U.S., we've got this, roll it over, resubmit, reprice. They just keep turning it over, putting new dates on it. The UK and you've kind of got the same problem that we do. The EU is on it. They are trying to stop this from happening, so that if you fail to deliver those shares, they're going to reverse the trade, and that means that the original money goes back to the person who paid for the shares, and they are not going to let the broker fool you into thinking that you have shares in your account that don't exist. That really, in my view, if naked shorting is illegal and people are doing it, if selling something short and pretending like it was a long is illegal, there are lots of illegal things that go on every day in every city in the world, right? That's not going to stop. But what you can stop is the fails, because the depository knows if you did or did not have the shares, and if you do not have the shares, you reverse the trade, and if that broker continues to exhibit that behavior, they're out of the system. So that's what the EU right now has ready to put in place, is that they will suspend the broker, right, the broker member, from functioning in the clearing and settlement system if they continue to abuse the fail to deliver. US, the rules are in place. I mean, the stuff is there. When the clearing and settlement was created in the 70s in the US, it says right in the Act of Congress that if a participant doesn't show up with the money or the shares at the end of the day, you can throw them out. The first time NSCC calls Goldman Sachs and says, get your shares in here or you're out, I guarantee you fail to deliver will stop and you'll never see another naked short. There'll be no use for it.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the podcast. Don't forget our sponsor, ExpressVPN, and my book, Brexit, The Establishment Civil War, can both be found in the links in the description below. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast. It's the best way to help us grow. Until next time, thanks for listening.